I hope you had a great weekend. Well, today is Men's International Day, and I wanted to talk about erectile dysfunction. This is an issue, it's a condition that plagues hundreds and thousands of men across the globe. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a sudden increase in the number of men coming to us with erectile dysfunction problems. Now, you see, this is not a subject that is most spoken about, or you can see it in the number of shares from the time we posted the comment in the morning that we're doing a talk on this. Well, as a country, I think we slowly have to evolve in understanding the fact that sexual wellness is real. There are women who have sexual problems, there are men who have sexual problems, and by not talking about it or by being shy about it isn't really going to solve that problem. And men who go through erectile dysfunction and they're in a situation where they can't talk about it or get the proper treatment, it forms this vicious cycle of depression, anxiety, lower self-esteem, lower self-worth. And once you're in that vicious cycle, it impacts everything from the way you work out to the food choices you make, your sleep, your overall life, and more importantly, the way you feel about yourself. Well, erectile dysfunction, when we understand it and we give it some more thought and try to get to the root cause of why it happens, there are so many gaps that you may be able to fill in your life and ensure that you may not have an erectile dysfunction problem anymore. Now, why is this important to women as well? Because equally speaking, there are so many women out there who have emotional issues or who are stressed out because they are unable to be physically satisfied by their lovers, their boyfriends, or their husbands. So you see, it's a real problem. And when we talk about problems or we have open communication about these things in society, you're able to come to some amount of resolution and not just push it under the carpet and decide to live with this problem. When you decide to live with a problem that can be solved by making the right lifestyle changes, or in some cases, use the right kind of medication, guess what? The quality of your life gets better and you feel good inside. At the end of the day, the most important thing, more about money, more about success, more important than your fame and everything else that you can have is, can you answer that question to yourself every night? Do I feel good inside? Do I feel good inside? Having a good day is different from feeling good inside. And that's what we all need to aim at. Now, when it comes to erectile dysfunction, what I've done is I've taken out the commonalities that we see in most of our patients who come to us with this problem. Number one, we have to understand that most people with heart disease and high blood pressure tend to have an erectile dysfunction problem. And we owe this to the narrowing of blood vessels. Simple science, simple logic. You maintain and you get an erection with the amount of blood flow that flows down to your penis. If you have the narrowing of your blood vessels, which we see in heart problems, in which we see with arteries that are filled with plaque. When we see high blood pressure, because high blood pressure is nothing but the narrowing and the hardening of your blood vessels. So actually, heart disease and high blood pressure is closely related to erectile dysfunction. And in fact, for people with erectile dysfunction, this could be a warning sign in most cases of heart disease and high blood pressure. So it's a good idea to get your heart checked and your BP checked if you haven't got it checked, if you suddenly developed erectile dysfunctioning, because you want to make sure that you have that blood flow not just to your penis but to every part of your body. So it is a very close relation to heart disease, high blood pressure, and erectile dysfunction. So here you have a gap. If you've been suffering from erectile dysfunction and you have a heart problem and high BP, what is going to be the solution is addressing it, the root cause, which means getting deeper and working with your heart disease and not just depending on your medication. Take your medication. I said just don't depend on it, and just because there's a medicine keeping your levels in check doesn't mean you still don't have a problem in your body. You have high blood pressure, you don't have to accept the fact that you need to be or have high blood pressure for the rest of your life. There are several things that many people can do to bring down their high blood pressure by making lifestyle changes in regards to their sleep, their stress, so many different things. There are very, very few people who will have to live with high blood pressure for a lifetime because of other medical issues. For everyone else, it's caused by lifestyle, you will reverse it with lifestyle. Let's move on to heart disease medication. I'm not here to tell you to jump off your statins, but I am here to tell you that every medication that you put in your system has a side effect. And if there's anything that irritates me more in the medical system today, in most cases is, fine, give medicine to your patients, but it is our responsibility to also tell them what the side effects are. And there's more growing research and science showing the connection between long-term use of statins that's used for heart disease and cholesterol and lowering testosterone levels in the body. Now, it's common sense what happens when men have low testosterone levels. we have issues with our sexual function, we have issues with our libido. So you can go on popping those statins, and every time your cardiologist shows you a report and says, hey, your triglycerides are fine, your cholesterol's fine, and you're happy and you don't make lifestyle changes because there's a drug that's been suppressing it, guess what? You have side effects. And we all know the side effects of statins. So I'm not here to tell you that you jump off your statins. I'm here to say that if you're on a statin, let this motivate you to work with your doctors, work with your health professionals to get off those statins by making lifestyle changes. There are very few people who may have to be on a statin for a lifetime because it's highly hereditary and highly genetic, and they have bad cholesterol levels because of their family history. But for everyone else, it's an excuse. You need to make those lifestyle changes, and just because there's a quick fix like a pill out there, guess what? You choose. You choose to have a clean parameter in your reports, or you choose to deal with the side effects. It's as simple as that. Type 2 diabetes, again, a huge connection with erectile dysfunction, because again, we link diabetes with nerve damage and damage to your blood vessels. Anything that does damage to your blood vessels and your nerves has an impact on your erection. So there are so many people today in our country living with type 2 diabetes and absolutely happy to be on medication because it maintains their level. We need to understand that in most cases, type 2 diabetes is completely reversible. It's just that people have become so lazy to make lifestyle changes and put in a little bit of effort and discipline that they're more happy to be on a pill. They are more happy to be on a pill that shows them their sugar levels are fine, but diabetes is way beyond your sugar levels, your fasting and your pre-fasting. It's about the health of your pancreas. Everyone with type 2 diabetes should wonder, why my pancreas are unable to produce the right amount of insulin, or why are my cells not behaving the right way with insulin in the body. So just because we have a quick fix that makes our levels look better, you still have a problem if you're on medication. So it's better to look at the reversal of your type 2 diabetes by making your changes, by going low carb. Everyone out there with type 2 diabetes, go low carb in the right way, in a supervised way. It's a myth that high fat is the enemy. Carbs have always been the enemy. You need to understand that a high fat diet with good fats, with the right amount of protein and low carbs, will be your breakthrough to weight loss, lowering your diabetic levels, maintaining normalcy in your sugar levels and all of that stuff. That's the easiest solution that you can get right now, besides your exercise and everything else. Hormonal imbalances in men created by chronic low sleep, overdrinking, smoking, and lack of exercise. You have to understand this. If you have chronic low sleep, you will have problems with your erection. You will have problems with your sex life, your libido, and everything else. Chronic sleep is becoming a huge issue amongst young men, amongst teenage boys, and amongst elder men as well. And sometimes all you need to do is get a couple of nights of good sleep to make sure that you can perform better in bed. Sometimes it's as simple as that. But people don't want to compromise on their lifestyle to make sure that they get the right amount of sleep, and then we have all these problems and someone offering you a quick fix pill to try to help you get a steady erection. Sometimes it all comes down to your chronic sleep. Because you have a chronic sleep issue, you have a hormonal imbalance. If you have a hormonal imbalance, guess what? Most of your sex is controlled by hormones in the body like DHEA, testosterone, and other hormones. You have a hormonal imbalance caused by lack of sleep, you have a problem. So sometimes fixing your lifestyle could be the best thing to do when it comes to erectile dysfunction. Feelings of guilt, feelings of fear of intimacy, low esteem, not thinking that you're good enough, low self-worth, and performance anxiety. These are the most common issues that we see in men. These are the most common issues. What's going on in your mind will not allow you to perform the right way. So overdoing it on pornography, when people watch, when young children, when young boys, when young men, constantly, they're addicted to porn. At any point in our life, each and every one of us, or most of us, would have watched porn. We would have gone through pornography magazines and stuff like that. That's fine, it's part of growing up. But if you're addicted to it and there are people who constantly watch it, guess what? Your subconscious starts setting a benchmark of performance related to a unreal benchmark that pornography shows you. What you see on the screen isn't what really happens in real life. So if you set your benchmark and you keep watching something which is unreal, okay, and you expect to perform the same way, and when you actually do it, obviously you cannot perform the same way, you start having performance anxiety, you start having guilt, and then you have this fear of intimacy because you think you're not good enough. And if you think you're not good enough, you can't be good at anything in life. It's not just sex. So when it comes to men, there's this huge emotional void in their lives that is set by unreal expectations. And that's when You can't get a proper erection because your mind is constantly putting all this negativity in yourself. A sedentary lifestyle, because again, it all comes down to circulation. When you have a sedentary lifestyle, you don't have the right amount of circulation. You don't have the right amount of circulation, you don't have the right amount of blood flow. And we all know again that a penis is erect and stays erect with the right amount of blood flow, a healthy blood flow to that organ. Depression is another huge cause. So when people are depressed, it's very important that they work with their overall lifestyle. Sexual performance, erectile dysfunction is very, very common amongst the population of people who may be severely depressed. Another point, when men go in for prostate surgeries, when men go in for chemo and radiation involving the prostate gland, if your doctor doesn't tell you, it is important for you to understand that there will be the possibility of your sexual function getting destroyed with this. If not destroyed, compromised. It is so important for us to ask the right questions to our doctors. I'm not here to tell you, don't do chemo, don't do surgery, or don't do radiation. But we have to understand that we have the right to question every doctor about the side effect of every treatment that we go through. And when I ask people, why haven't you asked your doctor? Or has your doctor informed you of the side effects of what you're going through? They say no. And I say, why haven't you asked? Don't you care about your health? Don't you care about the side effects? Don't you care about, what you're going to go through with these medications? Their answer is like, no, my doctor will get angry. If you're going to be speaking to a doctor who gets angry with you when you ask questions involving your health, you're with the wrong doctor. It's as simple as that. You have a right to information, and you have the right to knowing what your treatment is going to cause. So in your mind, you're able to accept it and you're able to do things about it to the best of your ability. I can't tell you how many men come to us after prostate surgery, after radiation to the prostate gland, and they're unable to pee the right way, they no longer get an erection, their sex lives are destroyed. And when I tell them, hey, this is a side effect of what you've gone through, they absolutely had no clue. And you have no idea how many men would have said we would never have gone through this if that was the situation. But that's different. That's their personal choice. We have a right to information, and it is your fault if you don't ask the right questions. So it is so important to understand that there are certain medical treatments that will also affect that. The long-term use of steroids as well. Finally, it comes under high stress. No man can perform the right way when they're highly stressed. And again, why does that happen? Because when your adrenaline and your cortisol is at the highest level, your testosterone falls down, which is why it is very, very difficult for people to have respectful sex when they're highly, highly stressed. And highly stressed people get into lustful acts, disrespectful sex, aggression, and all of these things. And that's exactly what our country is full of right now. When we look at the rapes, when we look at the horrific kinds of rapes that are happening, it just speaks lust, which is uncontrolled. It just speaks anger, aggression, psychotic behavior, which comes from repression, which comes from all of these things together. So you see, I think as a country, we have to be more open about our sexuality. We should be able to communicate in a safe space, and we hope that we can create these safe spaces where people can talk about it. Not just men, but women as well. Because we have to understand that human beings are sexual beings. And if we suppress that, you have other problems in the human body. If we suppress that, anything suppressed becomes more aggressive. It becomes more angry. And that's the problem that we have in our country. So when it comes to erectile dysfunction, it's okay if people have it. Okay, when it comes to, there are so many men who say that, Luke, I don't want to have sex with my wife anymore, my lover, because I can't perform and I don't know what my lover is going to think of me anymore when I can't perform or I can't satisfy her. The best way that we've seen out of this is communicate. Communicate with your partner. For great sex, you need a lot of good trust as well. So when you communicate with your partner that, hey, I have a problem and I need help, that entire pressure is taken off you to actually perform according to some unreal benchmark that you have in your mind. So, communication with your partner, and of course, deep breathing. The more you deep breathe before you have sex, while you have sex, automatically lowers cortisol. When you lower cortisol, your testosterone starts behaving the right way. And the final point is for men who are going through low testosterone, you may also want to check your DHEA levels, because if you have low DHEA, you automatically have low testosterone. So you see, everything in the human body is interrelated with each other with a beautiful intelligence and brilliance. And that's what the human body is. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.